Hello YouTube, Wes here checking in with another episode of the Vinyl Survivor. This is where I discuss albums that I purchased and let you know what I thought of them after listening to them. So let's go ahead and get into this back on the quick takes here again. First one I have here is a hip hop album from the 80s. This is the album from Rappers Convention. I believe it's self-titled. Features the song The Wiggle. Released in 1986. Yeah, pretty cool 80s hip-hop trio, two guys and a girl. I had not heard of this group before listening to this, and I thought it was pretty good, actually. I was pretty impressed. It definitely has that very 80s party hip-hop kind of sound to it. Very, very rhythmic and danceable and very fun lyrically, and there's a lot of interplay between the MCs and stuff. And it is on the EMI record label. So Rappers Convention gets a thumbs up for me, and it's staying in the collection. All right, next thing I have here is a solo release from a drummer, best known as the drummer for Jefferson Airplane, I think, Jefferson Starship. This is Joe E. Covington's Fat Fandango solo album from him from 1972. When was this released? 1973. Yeah, interesting album. Being a drummer, these albums from drummers I'm finding are kind of interesting in that they're kind of all over the place as far as the musical styles go, and this one opens with a very much straight ahead R&B tune, and it does some more country rock kind of tunes. There's some psychedelic kind of tunes, particularly Mama Neptune and Vapor Lady. The two closing tracks on each side. They're really long tracks, really cool. Definitely my favorite tracks on here. Yeah, an interesting album. As I said, it's very varied in its musical styles, but all the songs are good. They just might not go so well together as an album. It doesn't really flow as an album. It's kind of difficult in that respect. Really cool artwork on this one. Even the gatefold is even awesome. Love the artwork on this one. And that is on the Grunt record label. It's Joe E. Covington's Fat Fandango. It gets a thumbs up for me. As I said, it's good musically. It struggles as an album to be cohesive. Yeah, it struggles a bit, but the music is good, and I definitely recommend the two closing tracks on each side. Next up, another solo album from a drummer from a 60s rock band. This is Graeme Edge featuring Adam Gerwitz. Graeme Edge is, of course, the drummer of the Moody Blues. Again, a very varied musical album as far as its styles. This does some of that, 70s country rock kind of stuff. It gets a little bit into some progressive tinge type stuff, but not very much. Definitely not as progressive as the Moody Blues. But yeah, an interesting album again. I think I said Adrian Gerwitz. Adrian Gerwitz, some awesome guitar playing on this album. Definitely a very guitar-forward kind of album. Again, it kind of moves away from that Moody Blues kind of sound. This is a lot more in-your-face guitar rock kind of stuff. Gatefold with some lyrics and liner notes and whatnot. And this is on the Moody Blues' Threshold label. So yeah, another solo release from a drummer. Again, struggles a little bit as far as staying to a theme of the album, staying to a musical theme, and but good music nonetheless, good playing. As I said, really great guitar playing from Adrian Gerwitz on this one, and it gets a thumbs up for me. I liked it, so I'm going to be keeping this one in the collection. Next one, another classic from the 60s here. Not much needs to be said about this one. This is Tommy James and the Shondells doing Crimson and Clover. This album also features Crystal Blue Persuasion. Yeah, just some good sort of pop psych kind of stuff. Classic pop psych from the 60s. Was on the Roulette label. Enjoyed hearing the whole album. Glad to have this in the collection now. I like this one. I'm keeping it. All right, next thing I have to talk about here is an album from 2015, moving into the current century here. We have an album from Nils Frahm titled Solo. Of course, Nils Frahm is a very much a modern pianist, composer, musician, instrumental musician, does some electronic work, really interesting musician, and that was really cool to hear. This album from him, I just love his music. It's very emotive the way he plays, and it's just beautiful instrumental kind of music. So if you're really into instrumental music, if you're into film scores, that kind of thing, very emotional, moving kinds of pieces, then you'll probably like Nils Frahm. And there's an insert with liner notes, and it also has Braille on it. And he plays this really interesting piano. I know I've showed it before on video. It's like a 15-foot high piano. It's like an upright piano, but you have to climb stairs to get up and play it, and the strings are like 10 feet long, some of the longest strings. Really interesting piano, and he plays it on this album. I think it's one of the largest pianos ever made, and that's on the Erased Tapes label, plain black vinyl. So that is Nils Frahm with the self-titled, or with the album titled Solo from 2015. Definitely a thumbs up for me. Really enjoy Nils Frahm's music and been enjoying collecting it, and so that's a keeper for me. Next thing I have to talk about is an album from Bright Eyes titled Casadega from 2007. So staying in this century for now. First on this one, get that out of the way, just 2 LPs on plain black 180 gram heavyweight vinyl, pressed at RTI, a really beautiful sounding vinyl. That's one thing I do like about Bright Eyes, is that they really do take care in their vinyl packaging and their vinyl process, and they really do make a good high quality product when it comes to vinyl. This one has a lot of interesting features to it. Album cover here, which just looks like a sort of a heather gray, and then hold this up to it, the secret decoder, and you start to see things sort of appear here and there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get things to show up here. You can kind of see things happening there. The whole cover is like that. There's also a booklet that has some of that going on as well, and then inside you got lyrics to all the songs. Is nice. Bright Eyes are kind of like a modern. It's hard to describe Bright Eyes, but it's really neat, sort of folksy kind of indie rock kind of stuff. A bit. Really enjoy it. It's just a really nice band, and I really enjoy collecting their stuff. So that's Bright Eyes with Casadega from 2007. Definitely gets a thumbs up for me and staying in the collection. All right, next thing I have to talk about is another album by Nils Frahm. This is his album titled The Bells from 2009. Definitely enjoyed this one as well. The insert there. Recorded this album in a church in Berlin. Very nice, very open, big sound again. So yeah, that's Nils Frahm with The Bells. Another one added to the collection, and yeah, definitely recommend it if you like sort of cinematic, big sounding, classical kind of pieces. Again, that's on the Erased Tapes label, and side just has nothing on the label, and then this other side has his face. Okay, going back to the 60s again, we have the history of Otis Redding. Of course, it's got some classics on here. I've Been Loving You Too Long, Try a Little Tenderness, greatest hits sort of thing. Otis Redding, just classic soul here. Really nice liner notes and stuff on the gatefold here. This was released in '67. It's on the yellow Atco label. Nice greatest hits compilation, and definitely glad to have this in the collection. So when I want to hear some Otis Redding, I can spin this. I think this is the only Otis Redding piece I have. So going back to the hip-hop vein of things, this was a big album last year. This is Kendrick Lamar, his album from last year, To Pimp a Butterfly, which was a huge album for him. It was his sophomore work, I guess you could say. And it's really always a struggle for sophomore works, but this one was really good. Just an awesome hip-hop album, and definitely a classic of last year. Nice gatefold with liner notes on it, and just a 2 LP set. Had nice heavyweight vinyl on this release. Definitely another thumbs up for me for the Kendrick Lamar album, and I really enjoyed it and going to be keeping this one in the collection as well. Okay, last but not least, definitely a much loved album for me, a classic, and just one of my favorite albums of all time. I guess I could say that. One of my favorite albums of all time. This is Supertramp's Crime of the Century, 1974. You got School, Bloody Well Right, Asylum, Hide in Your Shell, Rudy, Crime of the Century. The title track is my favorite, just a killer song, and just an excellent album from Supertramp. I love this album. This is an upgrade copy for me. I have an original that's in rough condition. I have a remastered version, sort of a modern 2000s reissue, I guess you could say, which is sort of ho-hum quality. So it was nice to find a really super clean copy of this, to have a nice original copy of it. And nice inner sleeve with lyrics, photo there on the A&M Records label. Just a really nice near mint copy of this album. So that's going to close it out for this episode of The Vinyl Survivor. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching. Leave me some comments or questions if you have any. Please subscribe if you aren't already. Have a great day. Have a great night. Keep spinning vinyl. Don't stop, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers.